Hi, I'm Zachary Epps, Boulder Realtor. I'm assuming since you're getting ready to watch this video that you're thinking about possibly selling your house. And what I want to share with you is there are basically three different avenues you can take to do that. The three concepts or approaches that most people think about are for sale by owner, or what we call in the industry FSBO, hiring what's called a limited service agent, and hiring a full-time professional. If you choose to sell your home yourself and do what we call a FSBO, I would encourage you to consider one thing. One of the hardest steps, or one of the most important first steps, is to make sure that you price your home right. I'm going to offer you something at the end of this video that I think will be invaluable to you. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you a story about a neighbor of mine who went the limited service route and how that kind of didn't work out for them. The story I want to tell you is about a neighbor of mine who moved into the neighborhood, used a buyer's agent who was a close personal friend. She got transferred. So the job transfer caused her to need to move, use that same agent she used before, who, as it turns out, was a little bit of a hobbyist and a part-timer. So this agent wasn't as familiar with the market, and we hit a couple of roadblocks, or I should say they hit a couple of roadblocks, and it started with overpricing the home. After that, and somewhere around 200 days on the market, they started to get worried and were trying to figure out what had happened. Unfortunately, I couldn't say anything because they hadn't hired me. But what I noticed was other homes in the neighborhood that were exactly the same model, and in some cases didn't even have as many amenities, had sold within 30 to 60 days, which was the average time on the market for that neighborhood. So in hiring a limited service agent, I think the concept that we all understand is that there's some anticipation or expectation of saving some money. But what ultimately happens is services that are very, very important, especially in a competitive market, are not implemented. You know, that's the cost saving side. When you combine that with overpricing, as in my example of my neighbor, you know, what happens is the house doesn't sell. Ultimately, that house sold for less than it should have because it sat so long and lingered on the market. I'm not sure if that's the approach you want to take, but I've got another solution for you. In the case of the story I told you about my neighbors, you know, eventually the home did sell, but for that extra time on the market, those homeowners were making 2 mortgage payments because she had already moved. I'm not sure if that's the approach you want, but when you combine that with I think it was about 18% below market that home sold for, they really kind of took a beating just due to the fact that they weren't implementing services and tools that really need to be implemented. In the case of a for sale by owner, the statistics or the common data are very similar. About 90 to 93% of the homes that originally start out as for sale by owners fail to sell. And eventually those people also turn to someone that makes it their full-time business. The question I want to leave you with is, if you were going to court, would you represent yourself, or would you hire a discount lawyer or a limited service lawyer? And I think the same goes true for a big transaction like selling a home. It's one of the largest financial transactions you'll make. So why don't you give it some thought, see what works best for you, and if you think hiring a full-time real estate professional like me is in order, give me a call today. Call me and I'll give you a free market analysis to help you get started, even if you want to do it yourself.